Good afternoon. My name is Laura Egan, and I'm a director with product management for literacy with the William H. Sadlier Publishing Company. And I'm so happy to be talking to you this afternoon about our exciting program, Common Core Progress for English Language Arts. I want to go ahead and just start. I know some of you are still logging on, so let me just cover some housekeeping items. Your phones will be on mute, so that decreases the background noise so that you can hear me more clearly, and the noise is just distracting. The other thing I want to mention is that we will have a Q&A period, question and answer period at the end of the presentation. If you could write your questions that you think of throughout the presentation in the question box in your control panel on the right-hand side, and just expand the control panel and expand your question box, write it in there. I'll retrieve that at the end of the presentation. So let's get started. We're going to talk about a new program called Common Core Progress. It's been created by Sadlier to meet your needs for teaching the Common Core state standards. So as you all know, the Common Core State Standards are our standards that we're going to follow in your state, and you can put together a curriculum that matches those standards that you've decided on with your district. What Common Core Progress will do will supplement or complement your curriculum. It's a very flexible program. It can be used as the springboard for other programs, or it can be used as a program that will fill the curriculum gap in your classroom. It can be used with the entire class or small groups, and also individual students. So you think about how your curriculum and how your day of teaching is set up, whether you have before school classes, after school, summer learning, and of course during the day in your English Language Arts block of time. Common Core Progress, English Language Arts, includes instruction and practice for every Common Core state standard for English Language Arts. And that's important because in the student book, we have instruction for the students to follow, and we have practice. We have ample practice. This is going to prepare your students for the new Common Core assessments or your new state assessments. So make sure when you're looking at this book, and you'll be able to get some samples at the end, look at the instruction and look at the practice, and as we'll go through it today, you'll see how much instruction and practice that we have and how well it is covered. It's covering the standards. We also want to point out the organization of the program. It's organized by the Common Core state standards. So it's organized in units. There are 11 units for the English Language Arts program, and you'll see how it's broken up in just a few minutes. The components include a student work text, and we call it a work text because it has instruction in it. It's not just a workbook. It's not just something that they just put answers in. You'll see the structure. You'll see the items that we have in the program. They're very thoughtful items. They cover critical higher thinking and critical thinking skills. They mirror the PARC and the Smarter Balanced assessments. So we have a strong student work text, and along with that we have a progress monitor benchmark assessment booklet for the students and the teacher. We have a teacher's edition. We have a teacher's edition of the Common Core Progress, which is annotated with selected and suggested answers. Of course, the writing is just suggested answers that might be appropriate for the students to write. But it has also, it's a wraparound format, and it has just an abundant features that will address the scaffolding of lessons, the differentiation for instruction and your different groups of students. It has extension activities, English language learner activities, and just an abundant list of tools that you can use. Also, we have online resources at sadlierconnect.com, which is our new platform. And as you can see in this image below, it has a lot of student resources, teacher resources, and of course home resources, so that parents can go online with their students and extend the learning at home. We'll talk more about the home connection in a few minutes as well. And then we have this new program called iProgress Monitor. It's an online assessment, so it has all the assessments that are in the student book and the student progress monitor benchmark assessments, plus more, plus the idea of customizing the assessments to your needs, and that's all on iProgress Monitor online assessments. So let's go into the program a little bit further so that you can see the structure and the format of the program and each lesson. As you will see, there are 11 units for the English Language Arts program for Common Core Progress. There are 6 reading units and 5 writing units. They alternate. So there's a reading unit and then a writing unit that actually aligns to the reading unit. So the first unit is reading literature, key ideas and details. The first writing is writing fictional narratives. They complement each other. And you'll see how they do that as we go and look at a unit a little bit more closely. First, I want to explain how the reading units are organized. They're every other unit, as I mentioned. And units 1 and 3 address the key ideas and details, which is the first topic in the Common Core State Standards. So as I mentioned, the organization of this program is by Common Core State Standards. So our units for reading follow the topics, key ideas and details, using literature and informational text. Units 5 and 7 address the craft and structure standards of the reading strand, using literature and informational text. And then units 9 and 11, they address the integration of knowledge and ideas using literature and informational text. Now, the last topic in the reading strand is the range of reading text, the types of text. And that, of course, is woven throughout each of these units, the different types and range in text complexity. So let's take a closer look at one of these units, and you can see how it is set up and how it's formatted. I chose Unit 7 in Grade 3, and you'll see here how we're talking about craft and structure as the topic. We introduce the unit with an introduction about the theme and the standards. We also have a progress check and a home connect, so the students will be able to self-diagnose their skills, and also there's a page for the parent, for this teacher to send home to the parents so that the parents understand what's going on in the classroom. We have an essential question, which is the big idea, and it focuses the instruction. Again, we're in craft and structure, and we're going to identify and work on the 3 standards under that topic in the reading strand. So that's determining word meanings, using text features, and distinguishing points of view. They are followed by a close reading, a text here that it will incorporate all those standards and ask the students to read more closely. We also have across the text, which is a feature of using, looking at all of the text that they've read and using their skills to compare and contrast like and similar and dissimilar features. Every reading unit has a language skill lesson that pertains to the vocabulary acquisition and use standards. In this case, it's suffixes and prefixes. Every unit has a Common Core review, and every reading unit has a performance task. These performance tasks are online, and they're lengthy, just like the performance tasks are on the new assessments. For your convenience in planning and identifying what standards you're going to be teaching during this unit, we have listed here the Common Core State Standards right here for each of the lessons that you will be using. It also is good for the students to see, so as they become more familiar with the Common Core State Standards, you become more familiar with the language of reading informational text and reading literature and speaking and listening skills. So let's take a look at the unit opener. The unit opener introduces the theme and the standards. So this can be read in tandem, all with the whole group, or the teacher can read it, or just silently. And really what it is talking about the theme, which is really important to kind of bring in all of these texts and all of these standards into one theme. It's the best way for kids to get motivated to learn and also retain the knowledge. This theme for this unit 7 in grade 3 is about extreme weather and also the natural disasters that extreme weather causes. And then this intro goes into the different craft and structure ways that an author brings about writing informational text. Of course, they're identifying the 3 standards. There is a self-diagnostic assessment here. So we're looking a bit at the learning progression of what the student knows at this point. Have they learned what they should have learned last year about informational text and bringing it forward? So before the unit, you have the student ask the question, can I, for instance, determine the meaning of academic and content area words and phrases? So that's part of the standard of determining word meanings. And so they take a self-diagnostic assessment, and then they follow up at the end of the unit, and after the unit that they have completed, they go back and they check how well they've done. The Home Connect page will go home at the beginning of the unit, and this will build the partnership between the school and the home and the teacher and the parents. And what I really like about this page is that the explanation of the standards that the student's going to be learning in this unit is explained in friendly language. It's not real heavy-duty education language and jargon. It's friendly language that parents and us can understand what the student is going to learn during this unit. It also extends the learning into the home. So we want to help the parents find ways to extend that learning to the home, and so we give them helpful hints and activities. And here's an activity that will go along just with these 3 standards. We have more activities online. So again, we want to make it convenient and motivating for the family to come together and build that partnership. So let's get into the unit. As I said, the theme for this unit is extreme weather. The reading units are organized by type of type of text, meaning literary or informational text. And in this case, it's informational text. We're using informational text to talk about the craft and structure of a piece. The informational text will cover science and social studies topics. We also organize it by the standard. So the type of standard would be craft and structure. We have an essential question in the beginning. The essential question is very important to note that this essential question goes back to the standards. It's how, in this particular point, it's how can an author present informational text effectively? It's not a comprehension question. It's not a question about how the student will feel at the end about what they read. It actually is pertaining to the standards. Then we have a mini table of contents going over each one of these standards, determining word meaning, using text features, and distinguishing points of view. Now let me talk a little bit about the organization of the unit. Each standard, determining word meaning, is introduced by a text, an informational text. In this case, water everywhere. Using text feature, the next standard is introduced with a different text. Watch out for weather. Again, informational text, a different genre, explanatory text and journal article. And then the third standard, distinguishing points of view, is introduced by a third text, Stop the Droughts. Each one of these texts go along with the theme. They build background content, informational knowledge for the student, and it ties it all together, all three of these standards under the craft and structure topic. So let's take a look at one of these standards a little bit more closely. We're going to follow determining word meanings, and the instructional model that we use for all of our standards is the guided release of responsibility instructional model. The I do it, we do it, and you do it. So peer collaboration is woven throughout the units and the lessons, as you will see. So let's take a look at determining word meanings under craft and structure. The guided practice, the I do it, the explicit instruction by the teacher. Introducing water everywhere, the genre is explanatory text, and the teacher does most of the talking, the students follow along. They're asked some questions throughout just to keep engagement. The next step is the guided practice, the we do it. We do it together here. And then the third step in the instructional model is the independent practice, the you do it. So let's take, I'm sorry, this is the same standard, determining word meanings. The slide should have been taken out. Let's take the next standard, using text features. We introduce its guided instruction. The teacher does the explicit instruction. We introduce a new article, journal article, a new text, just for this standard. We have the standards highlighted here again for ease of use, for planning, for discussion with your students. We cite evidence. We want to make sure that the students are understanding the language that we're now using in our classroom, because you're going to constantly ask the students to cite the evidence. So in our guided instruction, we're going to say we're going to cite evidence. And when you cite evidence, you go back and you read more carefully. And so let's go back to paragraph 1 and cite the evidence and underlined, and they're engaged. The second step is the guided practice. And the third step is the independent practice. So that was the second standard. Now let's take a look at the third standard, distinguishing points of view. Again, we have the I do it, guided instruction. We introduce a third text. We have words to know in each one of these guided instruction steps. We continue the instructional model with guided practice. And by the way, each one of these texts are continued throughout the instructional model. So it's not one big text, it's 3 different texts, but continued through each step of the instructional model. So guided practice, and we have comprehension checks at the end of every step of the instructional model to make sure that the students are on board, they understand, they go back and they cite evidence. Again, engagement is very important, practice is very important, and we don't want to move forward if they're having difficulties. And the third step is independent practice. And then we come, after we finished all 3 of those standards under craft and structure, we come to a close reading, where at this point of the unit, the students will be asked to read closely a longer, lengthier text that goes along with the topic, but it incorporates all 3 of the standards in the one text. And then it will be followed by text-dependent questions, where the student will have to go back to the text and identify and cite the evidence and support their answers. What I love about this particular text here is that we're in informational text unit of craft and structure, and we learned about the natural disasters from extreme weather And back in our history, we have in the social studies area a natural disaster called the Dust Bowl. And so the students will be learning on grade 3 level all about the Dust Bowl, and this is a personal narrative. It's very interesting. I just love how this is all tied together. At the end of the close reading, the students will be asked to go back and read and cite their evidence and support their answers. The next feature in the unit is connect across text, which is very important for students to bring all that information together and kind of discern what it is that they've learned. What's alike, what's different. So they've read 4 pieces, 4 texts. Each of the standards had a different text, and then the closed reading had a 4th text. So they're to choose 2 of the texts and compare and contrast the similarities and the dissimilarities. They're also asked to return to the essential question. How can authors present informational text effectively? Well, the answer actually is through the 3 standards. Every reading unit has language standard skill pages. These language standards pertain to the vocabulary acquisition and use standards. So in this case, I've pulled up 3 different ones: prefixes and suffixes, literary and non-literary meanings, and root words. There is a Reading Foundational Skills Handbook that is at the back of the student text for grades 3, 4, and 5. The Common Core State Standards require that students, if they don't have a good foundation in their reading foundational skills, that the teacher continue to build those foundational skills. Usually in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, teachers may not have that information readily available, nor do the students. So we've put a handbook in the back of their student books for their reference. But in grades K, 1, and 2 of Common Core Progress, we have incorporated the foundational skills in the units, because those are the grades where the students really do need it. They're learning about phonemic awareness and phonics and word recognition and fluency. So we've incorporated the reading foundational skills in the student text for grades K through 2, and there's a handbook in the back of the student work text for grades 3 through 5. At the end of the unit, every unit, there is a Common Core review, and these reviews cover the content of the entire unit. So in this case, they've given the students are given a new text and 10 questions that they're going to have to read and respond to and go back to the text and support their answers. These questions mirror the Park and Smarter balanced assessments, as well as the new Terra Nova and Iowa Basic Skills assessments, and any of the new state assessments that are coming up. At the end of every reading unit, we have a performance task that is taken online. These performance tasks are lengthier, they're more involved, they have to they ask the student to demonstrate and show how well they do understand the standards, their writing skills, their literary analysis, and research simulations. These 2 performance tasks that you're seeing now are in the mid-year time frame, that's performance task 1, and the end of the year, which is giving performance task 2, which is giving the teacher a sense of how well the students are doing and how to adjust in their instruction. Let's talk about the writing units. As I said, they follow each of the reading units appropriately, and they align to the reading unit by type and by theme. So there are 5 writing units. The first is writing fictional narratives. The second is writing informative explanatory texts. The next is writing nonfiction narratives. Then we have writing opinion pieces. This is in grades 1 through 5, K through 5, and then in the upper grades, it's writing arguments. And the last is writing research reports. So we're covering all of the writing standards, and of course the last one is the range of writing, and so we have woven that standard throughout each of these units. Let's take a closer look at the writing opinion pieces, which follows Unit 7 that we just went through with the reading unit. So here we have a progress check and a home connect, just like Unit 7, and an essential question. It's all different because it pertains to this particular standard of writing an opinion piece. So we introduce the opinion piece, what it is. We also introduce the different substandards for this particular grade level, introducing a topic, stating an opinion, providing reasons and supporting that opinion, using linking words, which is very important for supporting opinion in a writing piece because you may have more than one, you should have more than one reason, and how are you going to link them all together? So we're giving some structure to this. And then every writing unit addresses a language or several language standards. Now these language standards are from the conventions of standard English. In the reading units, the language skill pages address the vocabulary acquisition and use standards, and in the writing units, the language skill pages address the conventions of standard English. Then we have speaking and listening pages that will review with the student the importance of speaking and listening and coming prepared. Most of what students will be presenting, speaking about is something that they wrote. So that's why we've put the speaking and listening focused standards in the writing unit. Again, there's a Common Core review to review all of the standards in this unit. Of course, we also have the standards written right here so that it's easy and convenient for the teachers to plan and to identify what standards that they are planning on teaching during this unit. So let's take a look at this Unit 8. When we introduce Unit 8, we're going to introduce the theme and the type of writing. We also have a self-diagnostic assessment in asking the student how well they know about writing an opinion piece in this case. But back up to the theme and the standards. I want to stress that we're going along with the same theme, extreme weather, but in this case we're bringing in pet safety. And they'll be learning about writing an opinion piece about pet safety. So the student has taken a side of whether to save a pet during a storm or not. Let's take a closer look. The Home Connect follows the same format as the Home Connect in the reading units. We have friendly language for the parents to understand. We have ways and suggestions to help their child. We have activities, and of course we have more online activities at sadlierconnect.com. So here is the opinion piece. We start off with the type of text. It's the opinions and the type of purposes. So we want to get our thoughts across. We have an essential question. How do writers support their opinions? We cover the little mini table of contents here with the writing piece, opinion piece. We have the language skills we're going to cover, the speaking and listening skill, and the Common Core review. So we begin this unit with a student, here are the standards, with reading a student model. It is important for students to see peer writing models. What is good, what is to their liking, what is to their interest level. So in this case, Ruthie is a student and she's taken the opinion of saving pets during natural disasters. You may want to bring this up with your own class, what their opinion is of saving pets. Pets are okay, we don't need to save them, they can swim. I'd rather save my family, support their answers, or no, my family is going to get in the boat, we have to save the pets too, they're very close to our family. So we go through the structure of writing an opinion piece. We help the student. This is all in the student edition. The teacher's edition has the organization planning for the teachers to use. But here is the thought process outlined for the student, which is very important. We have to talk about the title and what the importance of a title is. It draws the reader into the basic topic. How to introduce an opinion piece, introducing the topic and background knowledge and stating your opinion. And then, of course, we've talked about linking verbs. We talked about our reasons, how we're going to link our reasons together. We're engaging the students along the way because they're not only just reading a student model, but we're asking them to identify where the student in this model, Ruthie, has her second reason, so that they're getting acquainted with identifying reasons. And again, we want to engage them and cite evidence. The last part of the opinion piece is the conclusion. And we want them to have a strong conclusion. Sometimes it's the beginning and the middle and, the beginning, middle, and end, but we want them to have a very strong ending. After the flow of introducing the opinion piece, we do have language skill pages. And as I said, these will address the conventions of standard English. They follow the the gradual release of responsibility model of guided instruction, guided practice, and independent practice. So the students are familiar with this. And it also gives the teacher a good idea of how well the students do understand these parts of speech or these conventions of English. For the speaking and listening skills and standards, in the beginning of the book, the first unit in writing, we have a checklist for the students to revisit every time they come to a small group discussion, a large group discussion, or just a presentation. So this is in the beginning. It's the did I checklist. Did I come to the discussion prepared? Did I follow agreed upon rules for discussion, and so on. This is something that the students will go back to frequently. On other speaking and listening pages, we have a discussion of the essential question, and then we have a guide that will help the students with their notes before preparing for the discussion as well as during the discussion, the questions that I've asked, the questions that I can answer, new ideas that I had. So it really gets the student involved in the learning. At the end of every writing unit, we have a Common Core review. Now on the left-hand side, left-hand page, this is actually a new paragraph that the students will have to read and edit and suggest the corrections on the lines below. So this will actually address the language skills that they've learned in this unit. Now on the right-hand side is their assignment. They have in their book an outline page that goes along with the opinion piece that they've been filling in along with when they were reading and learning about the opinion piece and different parts of the opinion piece. So here is where they're going to write their opinion piece and follow that outline. As we mentioned in the reading units, we have a handbook for foundational skills in the back of the book for grades 3 through 5. Well, for all the grades, K through 8, we have a writing handbook at the back of every student edition. Now it covers the process of writing, the planning, the drafting, the revising, the editing, and the producing or publishing of a piece. So we go through that. The students can look at that at any time while they're writing their piece. Let's take a quick look at the teacher's edition. As I said earlier, it's annotated with suggested comments and answers for the students, for the teachers to get an idea of what the question is looking for. But it also has several features that highlight what a teacher's edition can do for a teacher. It makes it very easy. For instance, a unit planner. At a glance, what is this unit going to do? How am I going to teach it? We have the learning progression chart. So it shows the teacher where these students have come from and where they're going, so that progression of prerequisite skills that will be needed for the current unit. It has very comprehensive lesson plans. The teacher will know exactly what to do. It's not scripted. It's just given ideas. So the seasoned teacher will be able to bring in ideas and thoughts and creative features to her lesson, and the new teacher or the teacher that is apprehensive about the Common Core, they'll have enough support that it'll give them confidence in teaching. There's scaffolded skill applications for each of the lessons. And this is important because we have such different populations in our classroom these days. So it supports differentiated instruction. We have a pacing guide. So depending on how you choose to use it and incorporate it in your curriculum, whether it's part of your English Language Arts block of time, whether it's full for the whole class, small groups, individual use, summer learning, before school or after school, we give you a pacing chart to help you plan. And of course we have embedded professional development, which is quite extensive. It's not only in the printed teacher's edition giving background knowledge, background information for the Common Core state standards, but also we have videos online. Talking about online resources, we have resources at sadlierconnect.com, which is our new platform. As you can see, it's very clean, it's very easy to navigate, it's simple. There's something here for teachers, for students, and for parents, for the home use. It's all right here. We also have, I'm going to use my cursor here, we have a messaging system, so teachers can talk to parents, parents can talk to teachers, and students can talk to teachers. We also have correlations for each of the grade levels for each online at the teacher resources availability. I had mentioned this in the beginning of the presentation about the iProgress Monitor. It is an online assessment system. It has everything you would need for assessments online. Not only does it have every of the assessments in the student book, such as the Common Core Review and the progress monitoring, the performance tasks, but it also has the benchmarks, assessments that we have in a separate booklet. We have that online, and we also have customization, the idea that it's capable of customizing practice sheets or tests according to what standards you'd want to assess, or just practice. So you can preview the program and request a sample of Common Core Progress English Language Arts at www.sadlier.com/preview CCP, Common Core Progress, CCP. So I want to thank you. I'm going to leave this slide up so that you can take that down. And I want to thank you for attending today's presentation. If you have a question, please write it in the question box at this time, and I will go to the question box and see and answer your questions. Let me just open that up. Okay. The first question is, when will this program be available? This program is available right now. You can contact your sales representative. You could go online to sadlier.com/preview CCP and request your sample, or find your rep and contact your rep that way. So it is available now. Other grades, 6, 7, and 8, are coming out by December, so you'll have a full program for K-8 by December. The next question is it only for English Language Arts? No. We have a mathematics program. Common Core Progress Mathematics is set up very similarly in format. It covers the Common Core math standards. and the mathematical practical use standards concepts. So what we want to do is we would, if you have interest in the math program, you can go ahead to the same website, www.sadlier.com, preview/preview CCP, and request a sample of the math program as well. Okay, let me see. There are no other questions, but if you do think of a question or if you have a comment, please contact me at legan, that's L-E-G-A-N, @sadlier.com, and I would be happy to help you with your questions to better understand the program. If I need to go deeper into a point of the program that I haven't, that you're more interested in and I haven't followed up, please let me know and I can get back to you right away. Or if you simply want to know where your rep is, who your rep is, and you would like a sample. So thank you again for spending some time with me this afternoon. I look forward to hearing from you, and please request your sample, and good luck with implementing the Common Core State Standards in your district. Thank you. Bye now.